this, excuse me, this is what happened to my, one of my sculptures. Obviously, it exploded. I had used, you can see here, I'd used something to check for depth. I had this built around a styrofoam cone, which I thought was right here, but it's in the other room, which then I then removed. It was quite heavy and challenging to tip upside down and do any more hollowing, which I normally would do, but I'm also interested in seeing how far I can push thickness without this happening. And you know, so if you're trying to push the edges, you're gonna have explosions. I'm considering, I've often taken pieces similar to this level of destruction and reassembled them, epoxied them. You know, I spend a bunch of time doing a three-dimensional puzzle. This one here, for example, I hollowed effectively, and then I put a new bottom on it, and I poked a hole in it, and then as I was smoothing the bottom out, I accidentally sealed the hole. So this one, the bottom blew off, and it also broke the top up here in 6 or 7 pieces. And it's all reassembled. And that's one of the ways you can kind of see the remnants of a crack right there. And that's one of the ways I sometimes decide I really enjoy the faux bronze effect and other finishes that I don't, not that I couldn't, but that I don't get out of glazes. This one, I don't think I had to glue anything back together, but I do believe there was some mild cracking that was involved. And so that's part of how I decide what my finish is going to be. I paint the ones that crack and explode and break in other ways. And I also do various explorations, and I'll use them for multi-level experimentation. This one's been fired 3 or 4 times with various different finishes, mostly because that ear had fallen off. I'd attached the ears and I was going for asymmetry on this particular piece. So I played around with a few different positionings of the ears, and I hadn't realized that that position was a temporary position, that I hadn't slipped and scored and attached it properly because of that. So yeah, this piece here exploded. It was hollowed out, you know, reasonably, but then the nose totally blew to pieces, including the lips and various things. I tend to rush my own work sometimes when I'm focused on students and their stuff. I've got something that isn't quite ready for firing, but the student firing is in place, and so I was like, oh, well, I need to fill up this kiln, so I just do it. This one at least broke. The hair broke off, but it didn't. You know, so there's that, and you know, of these figures, that one broke in a couple of places. You know, that one had a shivering thing, so I tried various refirings. Yeah, so just kind of to show that explosions are part of my process, and I'm also interested in what the I don't remember for sure. I believe it's Chinese. It may be common in Japan and Korea as well. For them, when they reassemble an ancient piece of pottery, they want it to be given proper respect, but they also want to separate the restorative work from the original work. As I understand it, that's their motivations for doing this, but they put gold as to fill in the cracks so that it's very decorative and very clearly visible. And I really like that on a conceptual level of our flaws and mistakes being important. You know, kind of a different sort of reasoning for it, but it comes down to the hiding the breaks or not. And so I'm considering doing something along those lines with this piece. Now, obviously, in the powder down here, I do not have the patience to try and reassemble that level of explosive stuff. I do with these larger pieces, and I often will, you know, I fill in the gaps with an epoxy putty that is sculptable. So, yeah, we'll see what I end up deciding.